Having reached the midpoint of the group stage, we now move on to the second half of that group stage, where we see Group A and Group B about to participate in Match Day 2. Hello everyone, I'm Metafiction, and this is a very important match day for these 8 teams, as after the second match day, the possibilities for their final match day are more or less set in stone. What happens next match day, what they need to advance, is largely going to be determined by the results of these matches. And what a set of matches they'll be as we start off with Norden against Eurasia. Well, these clubs know that a win would go a long way to seeing them through Group A, but of course, hardly a guaranteed thing even then. So we are underway here. As Norden kick us off in the white and blue. Ruben trying to get around Zekiel Turkis, but too much juice on that dribble, and it's out for a goal kick. Kuskin intercepts that pass intended for Ahmed, and now through ball to Tank Denstro. Cuts it back. Al-Kazmi shot blocked, and it's sent away. And the scramble here is the referee is given a penalty. There was a bit of a battle in the box there. It was kind of hard to make out what the referee saw, but VAR looking at it and gives the penalty. So Al-Kazmi with a chance to put Eurasia in the lead. Vest dives the wrong way as Al-Kazmi makes it 1-0 to Eurasia. Or can you say it's just a perfectly taken penalty, just drilling it and sending Rivest the wrong way. Eurasia in a really good position as things stand. Norden trying to make up for that concession as they come forward here. Ball worked to Ruben on the near wing. Skavgard. Ahmed trying to find Madison in the middle, and Tom Madison levels it. It's a beautifully worked goal for Norden to level the scores. Skavgard with the first-time pass. Ahmed finding Madison completely unmarked in the middle there. You have to ask questions of the Eurasian defending there, but it's 1-1. And Shaheen rises above the goalkeeper to put Eurasia back ahead. That's a fairly quick reply from Eurasia. It came off of this throw-in. Zekiel Turkis putting the cross in. Shaheen gets to it and makes no mistake on the header. A win here would go a long way to erasing the sting of that 9-3 loss last time out to Central Europe for Eurasia. Norden, of course, with a bit of a rough start of their own, having lost 3-0 to Eastern Europe last time out. So both these teams desperately needing points to give themselves even a slight chance of qualifying. But at the break, it is Eurasia who go into the locker room with the lead. Norden 1, Eurasia 2, your score at halftime. Not a ton of shots by either side, but Eurasia with some real quality, perhaps buoyed by that penalty. Nevertheless, some very stout defensive work by both teams. You see there, only 5 shots total between them. Not what one might call a barn burner, but certainly a very tense, very hard-fought match we have on our hands here. So the teams continuing to make their adjustments during the half. Some very exciting matches on the docket today as 3 players onto the field for Norden and no changes for Eurasia. Ahmed coming forward. Silaka out to Skavgard. Trying to level the scores again. Silaka puts the cross in, but Showman cannot get to it. Stamp. And Kabiri leaps up to grab that. Madison tried the free kick, but it's knocked backward over the goal for a corner kick. Skavgard near post, and it's headed up. And Kabiri again claiming it. Kabiri, of course, for the longest time, one of the best and perhaps most unsung goalkeepers in the SSL. As that shot by Kuziltash, I hope I pronounced that correctly, was pushed behind, it has to be said. Lind to Skavgard. Some dangerous pressing by Denstro there, nearly liberating the ball. But here come Norden. Varnson lays it off to Silaka, who runs up the far wing, just barely keeping it in bounds. Gets around Alturkis, puts the cross in, and that's put in by Jesper Showman. Well, Kabiri came out to claim it, but couldn't get there. And Norden making them pay for it. Let's look at that again. Silaka dueling with Alturkis there, manages to get around, puts the cross in the perfect spot. Kabiri tried to go out and claim it, but I think it might have fooled Kabiri a little bit, the trajectory of that cross, and it wound up right on Showman's head. Kabiri out of position to make it 2-2. Now here come Norden again. Showman with another shot. And Kabiri pushes this one behind. There may not have been a ton of shots in the first half, but these teams really giving us a show as that header gets down, but Kabiri gets to ground to stop it. Norden really in the ascendancy at the moment, but will Eurasia have something to say about that? For the moment, it's Showman. Madison trying to find daylight. Ahmed takes the shot from range, and Kabiri in the right place to stop that. It was an absolute missile, but only found the goalkeeper. Skavgard, and that corner ends up over for a goal kick. Norden really pressing their advantage here. They had the momentum after that equalizer. Ekholm Gunnarsson with the header, but it's rejected. Lind makes its way back out to Ahmed. Skavgard with the cross, looking for Showman, and can't finish at that post. That was such a near miss for Norden. And here they come again, trying to get those 3 points. Skavgard, work to Ahmed. Ahmed behind the defense, shoots, and Kabiri with another excellent save. Corner comes in, headed away, back to Skavgard. Now Showman in some space, and Kabiri again, Johnny on the spot to tip that over. There's a reason Kabiri was one of the most beloved goalkeepers in the SSL for quite some time. Madison's shot deflected behind, and another corner in this sequence for Norden. They keep getting set pieces, they just have to find a way through. Meanwhile, Eurasia still defending as Kabiri claims that one. They're doing well under siege, but could really do with getting up the pitch and trying to get some chances in at the other end. Alturkis tries to hit the long ball for Kijiltas. Madison in pursuit. Ball trying to find Alturkis, but can't quite. And now the break is on for Norden potentially. Silaka running through the defense, out to Showman. Skavgard switching play. Gets around Alturkis, cuts it back. And that's another corner kick. Just when they thought they'd escaped Eurasia, under fire again. Skavgard puts the corner in. That's rejected back to Skavgard. Now Lind as the ball is forced back. And look at that XG chart. A flurry of chances for Norden, but Eurasia keeping them out every time. And that's thanks in large part to Misad Kabiri. Now Silaka bringing it forward again for Norden. The shot, and that one hits the side netting, courtesy of a defender. So yet another set-piece chance. Near post, finds its way to Ekholm Gutterson. Stamp from long range. And Kabiri once again, seemingly with a force field around the goal at the moment. Skavgard. Shellman takes a touch. Skavgard again. And that's headed away. Lind now. Skavgard back to Ahmed. Eurasia getting a moment to breathe and decompress. Madison through ball to Varensen. Was that a mistake? Just misses and was offside anyway. So Eurasia with a chance to breathe. Fiacra trying to hit it to Genkal, but misses. And now Norden with yet another opportunity. Here's Skavgard. And that one deflected behind for, you guessed it, another corner kick. It's headed up into the air, and that one winds up over the bar, courtesy of a Norden player this time. Showman closed down by Fiacra, but gets the ball out. Now Ahmed lets it run for Silaka, almost intercepted by Kijiltas. Skavgard. Now Ahmed at the end line. Crosses, and Jesper Showman puts Norden ahead 3-2. Well, it seemed like it had been coming with the flurry of chances that Norden had had. Kabiri and Eurasia doing so well to weather the storm until that moment. And is that the goal that puts Norden on 6 points, or on 3 points rather? Ball runs for Silaka. Silaka shoots. Kabiri keeps it out again. Kijiltas getting it away, but only for a moment, as Ahmed takes it off of Genkal. Madison through ball to Varensen, was offside earlier, and is offside again. Eurasia really need to get some chances on the board here. They haven't had any really good chances for most of this half, but time seems to be running down on them as Norden continue to collect corners like Pokemon cards. Skavgard standing over it. And that one's held by Kabiri. Needs to get the ball up the pitch. But time winding down, the clock against Eurasia. Looking like they might be headed to another loss, although Kruskin with a corner kick. Hits it near post. It's headed up into the air. Kijiltas gets to it, but Skavgard winning the ball away. And now Norden coming forward again in numbers. Hits it back to Lind. Norden don't need to do anything too flashy. They've got the lead on the scoreboard, only seconds to play. And that is it. Norden hang on to win 3-2. It wasn't the most inspiring first half, but then the second half, Norden really came alive. Jesper Schoeman, your player of the match with a brace. Goal as well by Tom Madison. And for Eurasia, goals by Al-Kazmi and Shaheen. Admirable effort, but ultimately unable to see out the draw. And so Norden with 3 points and a 3-2 victory. Next up, we see the two Matchday 1 winners from Group A, Central Europe and Eastern Europe. Both of these teams, of course, extremely talented, it has to be said. Eastern Europe with that 3-0 win over Norden on Matchday 1, but Central Europe impressive with a 9-3 victory over Eurasia. So two teams with a lot of firepower coming onto the pitch here, both looking to establish supremacy here in Group A. There you see the lineups. Eastern Europe with that 3-striker setup. Served them well against Norden. Will it do the same here? That is the situation in the group after Norden's victory. Puts them on 3 points, level for the moment with both of these teams. And Eurasia, of course, on the outside looking in. As we are underway here between Central and Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe in the red and black coming from right to left as Soerwine hits it to Smalls. Chevalier trying to contest as that ball plucked out of the air by Satoshi. Lasso. Now Slothenson. Suzuki takes the touch. Gaisberg trying to defend, but can't. And Leah Slothenson opens the scoring for Eastern Europe. Less than 4 minutes in, Eastern Europe has first blood. And it's a great move here by Suzuki, getting it around Gaisberg. Slothenson in the right place to hit that home past Satoshi. Okoro can do nothing about it. Neither can Satoshi. And it is 1-0 to Eastern Europe. Central Europe might have something to say about that, though, and Hohenhahn certainly does. What a header that is by Hohenhahn. Rising above everyone else. Clark with the throw-in, hits it back from Gaisberg. And Hohenhahn jumping over Smalls to just smash that past Mobeck in goal. And so a fairly quick equalizer for Central Europe, and we are all square once again. But here is Kupinas, but can't quite get there. Header battle still going, settles with Clark ultimately. Chevalier. Now Walker. Through ball. Now out to Clark. Trying to get around Empire. Crosses it, and that is a miss. It looked like that might have taken a touch off the defender, but nothing doing. Ball worked in the air. Finds its way out to Empire. Empire trying to get around Clark, hits the low cross. Okoro gets a foot in, but Suzuki's shot tipped behind. Dobrich standing over what could be a crucial corner in this early phase of the game. Sent it near post, but it's headed away. Smalls trying to mop up, does keep control of it. Cross goes in, couldn't find Dobrich, and another corner incoming. Redirect Dobrich now with another corner, this time at the opposite end. Once again, far post, finds some heads, and that's off the bar. Such a near miss for Eastern Europe here. They do still have a deep throw to put pressure on as it finds its way out to Smalls, but that just was not close. So Eastern Europe starting to pull ahead in terms of chances so far. Central Europe, though, not to be outdone, do have a throw here. Klose, back to Konecki, and Klose again from close range. But Klose offside as that one saved. Another deep throw here for Central Europe. Gaisberg. Walker. Cross goes in, trying to find Konecki at the far post, but didn't hit it on target. Clark now in a lot of space. Works the ball toward the center, shoots. Mobeck with the save. And Hohenheim ruled offside and interfering with play. So that will be a free kick as that chance goes begging. It's been a very enthralling duel between these two geographic rivals. Less than 10 minutes to go in the half as Hohenheim switching play to Konecki. But that back pass poor, and Dobrich just can't get it on target. How do you miss from that range with a goal that wide open? We may never know. Eastern Europe still with pressure here as Suzuki. Back to Empire. Suzuki goes down in the box, but it was a fair challenge. It will be a corner, however. Dobrich to stand over it. And that one headed away by Okoro. Empire trying to get the low cross on the end line, but Satoshi able to scoop it up. Eastern Europe looking the likelier to score at the moment. Both teams eager to get something else on the board before halftime. That would be a huge mental advantage. Eastern Europe winning the ball away, and now Kupin is carrying it forward. Empire trying to get around Clark. Gets a foot in, but Empire is still with it. Pass dealt with by Chevalier. And now the break is on for Central Europe. Klose switching play to Grudner. Hohenheim gets around Smalls. Hohenheim from very close range, and a good save by Mobeck. Hohenheim probably could have found teammates in the center, winked themselves, but ultimately came to nothing. Pinkman heads it forward. Slothenson! And right before halftime, Eastern Europe pull ahead again. Well, it came off of this free kick. Dobrich delivered it from deep. It was a bit of a header. Pinkman with the key header. It ricochets off of Cameron Millwall and into the net, but the scorers are giving it to Slothenson, their second on the day. Eastern Europe up 2-1 on the stroke of halftime as Slothenson on a hat trick suddenly going for it. Satoshi tipping it over. Perhaps one more corner before the half. Dobrich standing over it. Sends it far post, but rejected. Sorwine with a key tackle to stop Klose from starting the break, and that is going to be where we stand at halftime. Some good stuff from both teams, but it's Eastern Europe who take the lead going into the half. 2-1 your scoreline so far. 5 shots on target for Eastern Europe compared to 2 for Central Europe. It was a bit of a slow start, but both these teams really starting to pick it up. Eastern Europe looking the likelier to score and do indeed have the lead, but we know Central Europe has some serious firepower. Will they be able to bring it back in the second half? We'll find out soon enough. Meantime, Eastern Europe will be keen to hold on to this lead give themselves the best possible chance of qualifying. Clara Schmidt on for Hans Grudnar for Central Europe, and Marian Dobra replacing Mei Suzuki for Eastern Europe as we get the second half underway. And that one, a foul against Central Europe, winning the free kick for Smalls. Kupinas under pressure from Walker. Millwall able to win the ball away, and now the break is on. Klose in behind, trying to get around Pinkman, ultimately closed down. Back to Clark. Walker! And just after halftime, if VAR allows it, Day Walker might have leveled it again. They're looking at it upstairs, and the goal will stand. It is 2-2. Central Europe tying it again. Klose on the run, sent it back to Clark, and Walker just hits it in exactly the right spot. So Day Walker leveling the scores once again for Central Europe. And it's right out of the gate after halftime. Whatever was said in that Central Europe locker room really had an effect. And now they have possession again. Here's Kunicki. Clark, through ball to Hohenhahn, and Hohenhahn! Just like that, Central Europe have overturned a 2-1 deficit to a 3-2 lead. This Central Europe team finally showing the fire that resulted in that 9-3 scoreline on match day 1. Hohenhahn with an absolute cannon of a shot. And Central Europe finding themselves on the right end of the scoreline, but Eastern Europe not to be outdone, do have a corner. Dobrich trying to find an orange shirt and ultimately rebuffed, but here is Empire. So are Wine. And that's sent away. Flip able to keep it in the Central European third. Lasso under fire from Schmidt. Flip again. Some good marking here from Central Europe, but they do find Empire, and Dobrich just wide. This game has very quickly blossomed into life here in this second half. Central Europe pulling ahead after being behind at the half, but Eastern Europe not to be denied. Here is Dobrich. Far post, trying to find, I believe that was Dobra, the substitute. Back to Dobrich. Sauerwein can't bring it under control. Sent back out to coin flip. Out to Empire with a lot of space. Slothenson on a hat trick, but lifts that one way too far over the bar. Less than 30 to play, and this match still has plenty of intrigue left to give. Eastern Europe ahead on XG, but it's Central Europe ahead on the score sheet. Still anybody's guess how this one will turn out. Satoshi sending it long. Finds its way to coin flip. Long ball finds the wrong players, but Eastern Europe's managed to regain possession. Here's Kupinas. Cuts it back to Dobrich, and that was a really good opportunity. Satoshi had to get into the exact right position to tip that over. As Dobrich sends it long. And that will go out for a throw-in. It'll be Daywalker, one of the goal scorers for Central Europe, to throw in. Satoshi sends it long, but Kupinas there to head it back. Satoshi trying again, getting a lot more mileage on it this time. Hohenhahn finding Kunicki. Potential chance here for Central Europe. Kunicki gets around Slothenson. End line cross, but Movek scoops it up. Eastern Europe had started this match on the front foot, but now under serious pressure as Klose forces another save out of Mobek. Clark's corner kick headed away by Pinkman, but Walker able to get possession of it. Schmidt trying to hit that cross, but deflected off of Smalls, and that took a lot of the sting out of it. Less than 15 to play, and Central Europe with another deep throw-in. Chevalier. Clark with the shot, and Mobek holds on. Well, it was a slow start for Central Europe, but they were able to find their way back into this. And now with a 3-2 lead, have been on the front foot for most of this half as Kunicki takes the shot, but Mobek pushes it behind. And that corner kick results in nothing. 10 minutes to play. There might still be a sting in this tale. It all depends on whether Eastern Europe can get back up the pitch. Central Europe have now overtaken Eastern Europe on XG, though not by much. And as time ticks down, Central Europe seemed to be good value to hold on to this. 5 minutes of added time to play as Eastern Europe trying to bring it forward, but that pass offline for Dobra. Now Clark. Klose has Hohenhahn in the middle, does it themselves, and that goes just wide, courtesy of the hands of Mobek. Clark takes the corner kick quickly, crosses in, up in the air, and Mobek able to hold on to that. And Eastern Europe needing to get up the pitch if they're going to salvage at least a point from this. Long ball from Mobek. Couldn't quite find the right target. Dobrich, the intended player, on the receiving end of that, but Eastern Europe do find themselves with it. Possible attack here. Dobra weaving through the defense. Under serious pressure from Okoro. Empire work to Dobrich! But was Dobrich onside? This will be a huge moment in this match. VAR is looking at it. And it is offside. And that might be one of the most deflating moments I've ever seen. That could have been such a huge equalizer for Eastern Europe. But they were just barely offside, and that might be the end of any hopes of Eastern Europe getting a point from this match. Seconds to play. Central Europe look like they're going to hold on after having been down 2-1 at the half. 2 quick goals at the top of the second half immediately turned the tables. And as it's sent long, the final whistle blows, and Central Europe coming out with an emphatic 3-2 victory to take the lead in Group A after match day 2. Zoe Clark is your player of the match with 3 assists. An all-around excellent match from both teams. It's a shame one side had to lose, but in the end, Central Europe coming out swinging after halftime have earned themselves the 3 points. Well, you have to wonder how you're supposed to follow that as Canada and Asia, but follow it they must as we move on to Group B. Remember last time out, Asia with the 1-0 victory over Central America, Caribbean. And Canada able to squeak out a 3-2 win, perhaps an upset over South America. Canada coming out with a very dagger-like formation, a very narrow look. Asia with an adjusted 4-3-3. And there you see as it stands, Canada and Asia both winners on match day 1. So this match could determine the pecking order in this group. I honestly can't say I've ever seen a formation this narrow from Canada, or really any team in the SSL. We'll have to see how it works. But Asia with such talent in wide areas, Hashimoto in particular. Ball over the top, finds its way to Aoi, and Ashito Aoi immediately putting Asia up 1-0. Well, what can you say about that? A rapid-fire start to this match from Asia. Takahashi hitting it over the top. Aoi, first time. What a shot that was. And it's Asia 1 on their first shot of the game. Canada 0. At like 2%, takes the touch, gets it past most of the Canada defense. Takahashi scuffs the finish. It was such a well-worked move by at like 2%, but ultimately comes to nothing. Now it's a corner for Asia here at like 2%. And that's headed right at the goal, but Ball able to clear it off the line. Works his way behind for another corner. On its way out to Panda. Wang Jihao. Well, when you give Wang Jihao that much space, you can't be surprised with a result like that. What a strike. And Asia up 2-0 over Canada. Panda finding Jihao. Nobody went Mizukana nearby. And that absolutely brilliant left foot finish has put Asia in the lead 2-0. And Canada are going to need a rethink. Tentacles hits it near post. It falls to Crouch. But Takechi holds on. A high-octane start to this match by Asia. And I doubt they're done. Here comes Kilgannon. Panda taking the loose touch, but does scoop it back up at like 2%. Running alongside Tentacles, but Tentacles does dispossess. Aoi. Through to Emerson, but back to Aoi, who gets another goal. And Asia coming out to prove a point today. Some really worked passing through the middle. It looked like Emerson lost it, but Aoi in exactly the right place to put it past Wall, who it has to be reminded is one of the best goalkeepers in the SSL. But an absolutely brilliant attacking display so far from Asia. And Emerson nearly made it 4, as it is Wall having to get down to stop it. Hashimoto. And finds its way out, and now it's a corner at the other side. At like 2%. Sending it in, and that's sent away. And now is there a break on for Canada? Here's Volta. Kilgannon closing down. And that move will be snuffed out. Warwick, forward to at like 2%, and back. Hashimoto. Possession recycled to Kilgannon, who sends it all the way back to Takechi in goal. Now Mizukana. At like 2% to Wang Jihao. Through ball to Emerson. Emerson shoots, and that's wide. It was a brilliantly worked midfield move. And it's a bit of a surprise that Asia have had so much dominance in the middle when it seemed like that would be Canada's strength today with that very narrow formation, but Asia having very little resistance here. at like 2% with that shot, but that goes wide. Scraper finds Tentacles. Trying to switch play here, finds Mograine. Hashimoto tracking back well. Cross goes in for Mograine, and Takechi, really the only one around to get to that. Looking for Sinclair perhaps, but that one was hit far too high. Hashimoto bringing it up the near wing for Asia. Panda, it hits resistance. It's back to Hashimoto. Now play switched again. Here's at like 2%. Dueling with Tentacles. Takahashi finds Hashimoto, and Yoma Hashimoto makes it 4 for Asia. And Canada looking absolutely shell-shocked at the moment. Well, here's the run. Look at Hashimoto, bottom of your screen, completely unmarked, and you simply cannot leave that much space for a talent like Hashimoto. McNeil did make a run to try and close down, but it was too late by that point. And so Asia up 4-0 over Canada. That free kick from Volta blocked behind for a corner kick. They'll need to get something off of this to have any realistic chance of coming back into this match, one would think. Corner headed out to Sinclair. McNeil, as they are forced back, and the move loses all momentum. Tentacles to Volta. Asia winning possession again. Aoi. Now Panda. Mograine trying to win the ball away. Hashimoto getting the better of ball here. Puts the cross in. And a good placement on that header, or on that cross for Takahashi, but the header, just not enough velocity on it. Aoi dribbling into the center of the pitch, and Ashito Aoi with the hat trick for Asia. Deep in added time here in the first half, and Asia are up 5-0. And a large reason is that person right there, Ashito Aoi, with another really good finish through a crowd of bodies. And so at the break, Asia deservedly up 5-0. Canada with only one shot on target so far. Now you see in the average position map in the bottom left, or at least you might have seen it for a moment, Asia really concentrating their players in the middle of the pitch to combat that added midfield threat from Canada, and doing so with aplomb so far. Canada just unable to get anything going, unable to dribble through the middle of the park against this Asian side. Velstrazen-Smith brought on for Canada to replace Madueke, and Kim Hyung-min replacing Takeda Takahashi for Asia. We know Velstrazen-Smith has a moment of magic in them. Certainly for Sao Paulo and as well for Canada. Will that be on display today? They certainly need some sort of spark. But that's not good news for Canada, as Marco Tentacles forced off via injury. Spike Shaftwell will come on to replace Tentacles. But that's just more bad news for a Canada side already deep in it. Hashimoto dribbles into the box, trying to cross, and that's found its way in. It's an own goal against Alexandros Mograine. Well, that is a heartbreaker and potentially a backbreaker. An unfortunate turn of events. That's the last thing Canada needed right now. Hashimoto did well to dribble past the defense, tried to cross it. Mograine getting a foot in, but just at the wrong angle, tips it around the goalkeeper. And how often do you see that kind of own goal scored? Just an unfortunate happenstance there. Well, if Asia weren't in the driver's seat before, they certainly are now. 6-0 with about 10 minutes to play. Canada at this point perhaps just looking to try and get something to mitigate the goal difference blow this is going to provide. But Asia again bringing it forward. And Aoi goes down. The referee has given a penalty but is going over to the monitor to check. Can't imagine it makes too much difference at this point. 6-0 versus 7-0, but VAR is looking at it. Referee staring at the monitor, has made a decision now. And the penalty overturned. Well, it's a small mercy for Canada at least, but again, 6-0 and 7-0 really not that different in the grand scheme of things. But 6-0 it is for Asia. A hat trick for Ashito Aoi, who is your player of the match. Goals also from Jihao and Hashimoto, and of course that unfortunate own goal by Mograine. Well, it's just a complete performance from Asia. What more can you say? And as for Canada, just a bad day at the office, one they'll hope to forget. And it puts a lot more pressure on their final match of this group phase against Central America and the Caribbean on match day 3. But that will do it. 6-0 to Asia, your final, as we move on to our final match of match day 2, Central America taking on South America. Central America losers 1-0 to Asia last time out, and South America, one of the teams that had been expected to do fairly well, losing to Canada last time out, 3-2. Both of these teams on the outs, one would say, will need a really good showing in order to have a chance to make it now. Both teams with a lot of talent at their disposal and some really strong footballing tradition. We'll have to see which of them is able to make it through. Asia still to play South America, and Central America with a date with Canada on match day 3. How important will that match be after that last result? Central America Caribbean coming out with a 4-2-4. And as for South America, it's a 5-2-3, it looks like. Mourinho, of course, the danger player up front. And confirmation there, Asia on 6 points in the group stage. Canada still on 3 points from their match day 1, but looking significantly less secure as a result of that absolute drubbing. And so we are underway. Central America Caribbean kicking us off here. Going left to right in the half-and-half kit. Good challenge from Metafiction, but it's back out to Maldonado. Diaz. And ultimately worked out to Nyron Nosworthy. With both of these teams having lost, it bears repeating just how much good 3 points will do, especially after that huge loss by Canada. It's Mourinho with the corner kick for South America, but that's headed away. Back to Fuecoco, and Francis with the shot, but it's blocked. Back out to Salazar. Rivera's trying to find Mourinho, but nothing doing. Not much to report. South America with 2 shots on target so far. Central America, Caribbean having yet to take even 1 shot. But that might be changing as here is Agakuthu. Kuthu. Or Chuthu. Apologies. Maldonado. Cross on the end line, and that's a narrow miss. And that could have easily been the opener. Xavier, now Luis Jr. Rivera's trying to take it around Centauri. Back to Kirkpatrick. Through ball, nearly finding Metafiction, and Desjardins' challenge on Metafiction might have just been a penalty. VAR is reviewing the incident. Will it be a penalty? It is. And so Neymarinho with a chance to put South America in the lead, but facing one of the best goalkeepers, but misses over the bar. Well, that is a shocking miss from Neymarinho. Usually such a lethal finisher. Just absolutely scuffs that. Well, my goodness, how important will that be in the final reckoning? Neymarinho missing that penalty way over the bar. And now, in added time, it's Salazar to deliver the corner kick. Near post to Kirkpatrick. Out to Fuecoco, and that's tipped over by Aguilera. I was going to say earlier, Aguilera, one of the most dominant goalkeepers in the SSL right now. Going to be a very stiff challenge to get anything by him at the moment. And so, at the break, that very shocking, it has to be said again, very startling penalty miss from Neymarinho means it is still 0-0 at the half. South America with better chances so far. Not a lot of quality on either side at the moment. Some solid defending, and Aguilera really showing out as always. "45 minutes left to see if either of these teams can find that decisive advantage. Going to be a very tense second half of this match as we are underway once again. Fuecoco under pursuit from Munoz, who does get the block in on the cross. Throw in for South America. It's De Silva. Finds Fuecoco again, puts the cross in, and that shot from Metafiction. Again over the bar. You'd think would need a little bit better of a finish from Metafiction in a really good position. It might be the second big missed chance by South America so far. Fuecoco. De Silva in the middle to Francis, who takes the shot, and that hits the crossbar. South America just cannot get anything on target right now. Here is Salazar coming forward with another chance for South America. Back to Rivera's, and it's a good header by Maldonado to get that away. South America still with danger. De Silva trying to find Fuecoco. De Silva heads it in the air, and that one easy to get to for Aguilera. Well, you cannot fault the effort by South America, but just unable to get anything past Aguilera or this defense. Agachuthu passing in the middle. Munoz trying to find Santori. Just barely keeps it inside. Agachuthu at the near post, off the post. And that was the first real moment of danger from CAC. Less than 15 to play. Neither side having found the breakthrough. The free kick from Luis forces the save out of Aguilera. Now Salazar to deliver the corner kick. Any moment could be the breakthrough here as it's headed up in the way. Xavier back to Salazar. Salazar near post, and Aguilera again has it covered. Another corner kick for South America. That one's near post, and Aguilera holds on to it this time. South America with some really good chances, but unable to find a way past Aguilera, who has to be the player of the match if this remains 0-0, as it looks like it will. But here comes Desjardins, a potential last gasp corner for CAC. Lofted in the air. That's headed away. It's back to Agachuthu, and what a save by Canders. But Nosworthy offside anyway, and that might be that. Canders standing over the free kick. Out to De Silva, and that is that. A scoreless draw, but not one lacking for excitement. Benicio Aguilera III, deservedly player of the match after that stellar performance in goal for CAC. Did so well to deny South America the entire 90 minutes. Absolute kudos to that goalkeeper, Aguilera. And as for South America, they'll be wondering how they didn't score. Neymarinho with that really, really telling miss from the penalty. That might come back to bite them in the final reckoning. Time will tell. Still one match left to play, but here is a recap of what we've seen today. Norden with a 3-2 win over Eurasia. Central Europe also winning 3-2 over Eastern Europe. Asia 6-0 demolition of Canada. And South America and CAC scoreless means that Asia is the first team to officially book their ticket to the knockouts. One spot out of 8 claimed. Who will be taking the other 7? Certainly a lot of intrigue going into the final group stage matches. We hope you'll join us for those. Until then, this has been Metafiction. Thank you for joining us. Take care.